Okay, my final project is about the impact of stress on on physical health. I chose this topic because I've always been really into physical health from being an athlete. Obviously, being a college athlete or just an athlete in general, you have to have a good physical health because that's a big part of being an athlete. And so I'm going to talk about some different definitions for my presentation. So, like I said, my topic was the impact of stress on the physical health. Stress, the body's natural response to any challenge. It can be triggered through external and internal factors. Physical health is the condition of your body and how well it functions during physical activity. So that would be any sort of physical activity like walking, running, playing sports, really anything. So the response on the body from stress on the body is physical and it is also mental. The fight or flight response is activated when you are stressed or when you're performing physical health. That means your body is triggered and your body is trying to do something with that threat. So there's many other factors that contribute to stress, such as increased like heart rate. Having like higher heart rate leads to having higher oxygen delivered throughout your body. Heavy and faster breathing, as you work out, you breathe heavy, and that means it supplies more oxygen to your brain. So actually, a lot of hormones are also released when you're stressed and when you're working out. The brain actually signals different glands and other hormones to release the stress hormone. So some connections between stress versus physical health is there are many connections. Um, Prolonged stress on the body can lead to chronic stress, and that can really impact your life very negatively, very fast. There are many systems in your body that are connected to stress, which I thought was very interesting. Heart problems increase heart rate and blood pressure, and this can lead to, heart diseases, stroke, heart attack. Immune system, chronic stress is also proven to weaken people's immune systems, and it's easier for them to get sick or catch diseases. It also affects your digestive system, and stress can lead to higher chances of IBS and other stomach conditions. So there actually are different types of stress. There's three main ones I'm going to focus on. Chronic stress, acute stress, and episodic stress. So chronic stress is a long-term stress that can last years, that can affect many systems in your body. And like I said before, it really weakens a lot of your systems in your body. Acute stress is short-term stress that can be changed based on your everyday life or challenges. It can also affect like different systems in your body, but not as much as the chronic. So, kind of acute episodic stress is episodes of acute stress. So, these do come from acute stress and it can come from changes in lifestyle, and anxiety is a good example of this, and even just headaches. So, stress actually comes from work. So, deadlines, workload, having job security, schools, you're studying and doing work every single day can be stressful. Relationships is a big one. You can have conflict with your partner. Health issues such as mental health, physical health, illnesses, injuries, financial problems, people that are in debt or unemployed, that can be very, very stressful. Even just life changes and like having a new job, moving, divorce is also a big stressor. So there's many effects on stress. So the physical side of the effects of stress is muscle pain or tension, headaches, migraines, low energy, sleeping problems, and like I said, all the different systems are weak. Um, Stress can also really affect people's emotions. So having anxiety, irritability, anger, overwhelmed, helpless, having mood swings, that would all go with emotional effects. So cognitive effects, memory problems, constantly worried, trouble concentrating, and doubt all go with cognitive. So behavioral effects, you can have appetite changes, not wanting to eat, substance use, have bad habits, could be eating, physical habits. And so this leads to one of our main issues as well as psychological issues, which this has to deal with the nervous system. So the stress can affect the nervous system pretty bad, and the way the brain functions is how the brain psychologically functions. So the stress can turn into chronic stress and it can take a toll on your whole body, mentally and physically. There are many anxiety disorders that go along with this as well, and that can be caused by chronic stress. And the brain always has to stay in the fight or flight position, and this can really cause a lot of mental toll, and that can cause social anxiety or panic attacks. So, depression, long-term or chronic stress can cause depression, and it can contribute to low mood and no motivation whatsoever. So, I'm going to tell you about how the brain functions. So, when you're under the stress, the brain is activated. And like I've said before, your body reacts to the threats from the stress. And so, you guys are thinking, where does this come from? Stress starts in the amygdala, which is the emotion center of the brain. And when stress is in place, this signals the hypothalamus, which is the control center for stress in your brain. Then it's triggered by the pituitary gland, and that stimulates the adrenal gland to release cortisol, which cortisol is our stress hormone. And cortisol is used for increase of energy and focus, so we definitely need that. So I want to talk about hormones now. So, like I said, hormones is a very big factor with stress. And so cortisol, like I said, is considered the primary hormone, the stress hormone, and it's released by the adrenal gland. And this hormone increases blood sugar and energy. So the adrenal part of it, released by the adrenal medulla, is its function is to start a fight or flight response. So that's our first response to stress. It also increases heart rate and blood pressure. And so I listed two more hormones. And so the last two, released by the adrenal glands and nerve endings, this hormone makes you alert and affects blood flow. And a vasopressin is released by the pituitary gland, and it helps regulate blood pressure and holds water in your body. So we do need all of those for our brains and our physical health to be able to function. So, like I said before, too, immune health is severely weakened when people are dealing with stress. So, it causes our bodies to release hormones, like I've said before, the cortisol and the adrenaline. When these hormones are released, it causes an increased immune activity. So, this prepares the body for infection. Chronic stress affects the immune system by delaying wound healing, getting sick, inflammation, suppresses white blood cell function, and there's many more contributing factors to weakening the immune system. So, cardiovascular health, um, stress is very scary for cardio issues because it really does affect the heart. So, it increases rate of heart rate and blood pressure. Like I said, it activates that fight or flight response and it releases those hormones. So without having the hormones and your brain not being triggered like that, it can really mess up your brain signaling to your heart. So inflammation is also something that will increase with the risk of heart attacks and strokes for this. And even a blood clot could happen and can cause from the stress, and it increases the chances of heart attack, heart disease, stroke, and even other heart conditions. And just even unhealthy habits, if you do not have a good nutrition plan or a diet you go by, or if you don't even have a good sleep schedule, you are in risk of having cardio issues. So the musculoskeletal system is the stress is physical and you can feel the tension on your muscles and it increases the pain and injury of your body. So muscle tension is that fight or flight response that I've talked about and it's activated by muscle tension. So range of motion can be limited and can increase sprains or strains when you're trying to be physically active. So the risk of injury also increases and your muscles can weaken if you are not um performing physical health, and you're more prone to injury. So delayed healing can also occur. It slows down the body's healing process, and this can also lead to worse inflammation in the long run. So the endocrine system is responsible for producing the hormones we've talked about, and when it's stressed, it disrupts the hormone balance. Stress can trigger, like I said, the different parts in our brain, and then it signals to all these hormones that they need to be released. The cortisol, like I said, is the main hormone, and it changes because the immune system is weakened. So that also affects the endocrine system. So the thyroid is also affected, and it can lead to weight gain and fatigue. So mental health is a big thing that goes along with stress. Stress activates the brain and it makes the brain feel fearful and alert. Depression is common with people that are affected by stress. It regulates the brain's chemicals to maintain your mood. Memory and concentration are also something hard when people are experiencing mental health issues, and brain fog can be led on by those two things. And you can also not be able to concentrate. Chronic illnesses is also a big key point. There's a lot of chronic illnesses that are caused by stress. Like I've said before, cardio disease, the blood pressure and the heart rate can increase. Diabetes is a big one when cortisol increases blood sugar, and that can affect the insulin levels. Autoimmune diseases, digestive disorders, and asthma are all big chronic illnesses that can be caused by stress. So, coping and kind of the lifestyle with stress and being physically active. A big one is it's influenced by behaviors and so someone's overall well-being. So, if you do not have good behaviors, you have a higher chance of becoming stressed or having some of these issues I've talked about. Like I've said, poor sleeping habits is a big one. Stress makes it hard for you to fall asleep at night. And poor nutrition, overeating, skipping meals, that can lead to weight gain and that can lead straight to having another mental issue and that can cause even more stress. Lack of physical activity, substance use, and poor relationships is also a big one that can lead to negative things in your life. So I found some family and community benefits for this topic. So stronger family bonds have shown that when people face stress, their families can support and improve communication and emotion so that person wants to communicate about how he or she feels. A role model, parents and family demonstrate a healthy behavior for the person going through stress. So you really want to be there for that person so they feel comfortable with you. So, some community benefits is better social support. So, communities often come together, which can overall help well-being. Like an example of that I think of is a church. If you have like a small group, you can go to your small group and talk about how you feel, and they should be able to listen to you and help you as much as they can. So, stress management is a big one for this topic. Regular physical activity, exercise every day, and reduce the stress hormone. So, just even walking for 10 minutes is better than doing nothing. Breathing techniques, this is used to calm our nervous system, and this can really help relax our body. Nutrition, having balanced meals, making sure you don't skip meals, and this can support your whole body and can help you not feel as stressed. Sleep, if you have a good night's rest every night, this regulates your hormones, makes you feel better overall. And one of my quotes I use is stress is a major cause of psychological issues and distress and disease. And this is a very public health issue that we have in the United States. So overall, my topic was very interesting to me because I can kind of relate to this topic from being an athlete and just being physically active and wanting to know the connection between stress and physical activity. So after reviewing my presentation, stress has shown to be very powerful impact on our bodies, and there's many different types of stress. Having stress throughout your whole systems in your body is causing underlying issues. Overtime stress can cause chronic issues and such as illnesses and diseases. Understanding stress and learning how to manage it effectively will overall help your mental health physically. And just the last source that I used is these findings underscore the importance of cultivating psychological resources, adaptive coping mechanisms, and burnout, offering valuable insights or targeted interventions aimed at enhancing the well-being of athletes, particularly those experiencing elevated stress levels. And here are my resources.